we have Meta launching their own cloud. Pretty huge news. Using their excess capacity, selling it off. Meta stock's up. A lot of the component makers are down. Worry that Meta will soak up kind of their demand. Meta's new cloud will soak up their demand. But I think this just makes sense from Meta's perspective. It's a new customer, one, and then if they serve models and things like that, could be a net increase in demand. You know, there is just being this little kind of small amount of you know, excess kind of chips kind of, you know, being rented out. But if they have too many chips, it's also maybe a little bearish, right? Where it's like, well, SpaceX and Meta are kind of these bumbling firms that don't have enough chips. Excuse me, have too many chips. And so, you know, here they are, you know, they've bought way too many of these things. And then you know, they have a way to get out of them now by selling them. And certainly SpaceX has done that well as well. So the question is, when do they re-up? If they're going to re-up, are they just re-up for the same customers like OpenAI and a few other guys? So, you know, is this a double whammy where not only do you have Meta saying we don't need more chips, we got enough. Not only that, but we need to sell off the chips we got now. So we're not only not going to buy more from NVIDIA, NVIDIA is going to have a hard time selling more. You know, GodelTerminal.com, check it out. That's our sponsor and the company that I founded to make great financial software. Okay, so what do? I think you buy, but I also am wondering what, you know, how hard this hits. Yeah, I mean, look, if they have enough memory, if they have if they have enough compute, you just wouldn't think that you'd start a cloud. You know, Elon started a cloud because he bought so much of this stuff and his team was disorganized, the wrong people, etc. So how do you, you know, sorry, I'm just I think humanoids are a little weird. I mean, it's certainly intriguing sector, but it's a little early. You know, clearly Boston Robotics is interesting. Anyway, so what's going to happen here to memory and GPUs? I mean, I think certainly the first reaction is, very scary for if you're a competitor to one of these guys. If you're, say, you're Nebius or your CoreWeave, now you got to compete with Meta. Great. You're gonna, and they were the customers for Nebius and CoreWeave. So I think Meta's sitting there saying, if we're going to be in the data center business, we might as well take clients on too. But again, a little odd. I mean, would you, if you're OpenAI, go to Meta? A bit of a bizarre thing to do. So this is going to definitely shake the space a bit. But I think cooler heads will prevail. I don't think things have changed overnight. So I'm buying. Neuralink's amazing. Yeah. I mean, Neuralink's really for people who are extremely sick. Neuralink's not meant for normies. It's meant for people who can't walk and move. That reminds me, I tell my friend about it. Why is Amazon up? Good question. Yeah, you would think this is a little bearish for Microsoft as well. And SpaceX. But I don't know. Like I said, I think cooler heads may prevail here. It's not, let's see, where did this exactly come from? I mean, this is Reuters, I guess came from Bloomberg News. Meta's building a cloud to sell excess compute. It's a Bloomberg report. Computing power and models, setting up with a... Okay, well, this is, if it's computing power where you can use their model with the compute, that's not bearish. That's, I think, expected. That's not really a competitor. That's actually kind of bullish. There's a way big difference between Meta saying they're overbuilt and Meta saying, well, actually, I wear a shirt every day. Well, actually, we want to sell to enterprises. Of course they do. Everybody has a site where you can use their models, and the models by definition come with compute. So renting excess compute with that, kind of like, well, if we're going to provide you the GPU plus model, maybe we'll provide you the model alone. Well, that's open source. And then we're providing you the GPU alone. It certainly, it could be a bit more nuanced than maybe the Bloomberg article is suggesting. They're seeing some recovery in the stocks as we speak. Micron's still at 5, 6, 7%. I'm going to read the article from our competitor Bloomberg. It's Meta is building a cloud business to sell excess AI compute. This is by two authors there. Meta is developing plans for a cloud business that will sell access to AI computing power and models. Meta has been rushing to secure expensive data centers and other infrastructure to fuel its own AI ambitions, is forming a business to generate revenue from excess computing power sold to outside customers. One potential plan includes selling access to various AI models that are hosted on Meta's existing AI infrastructure approach, similar to Bedrock. And Meta would run data centers and chips that power the model. That makes sense, including its own Muse Spark models, and charge developers to access them. The company is also considering selling access to raw computing capacity, akin to neoclouds. Well, I mean, I think the first one is not bearish. That's expected. The second one is kind of, well, we don't know that they're doing that. Development of these new business lines is part of Meta Compute, internal initiative to build and manage the AI infrastructure. Meta Compute is led by Santosh, Meta's head of infrastructure, Dan, and Meta president, Dina Powell. McCormick. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure this is... Despite the complexities, Meta has signaled to investors that he's open to selling excess computing infrastructure and an API. Zuckerberg said it's definitely on the table in May, so I'm not sure this is new news. Almost every week, there are different... Okay, I have to do the Zuck impression. Almost every week, there are different companies that come to us from the outside, asking us to both stand up an API service or asking if we have compute that they could buy from us at some premium to what we've bought it at. We haven't done that yet because we think that we have a use for the compute. But obviously, if we get to a point where we feel that we have overbuilt, then that is an option that we have. And that is partially what gives us confidence in investing in this build out. Amid a fast-moving AI race, Zuck has repeatedly suggested that he believes the industry is constrained when it comes to computing capacity and that Meta should amass as much as compute as possible and determine its use later. That's the news. Oh, yeah, I have to make a tweet about QCLS. Forgot about that, actually. We have news. QCLS. QC Technologies. I think we have a news. We put out a press release yesterday. I knew it was coming, of course. I couldn't talk about it, but I forgot to tweet about it.
Well, I think Scrolly's really onto something. I don't understand anything about Cortana computing or anything, but here in Omaha, we don't do such things. But, I like the kid. I would invest with him.
Michael Saylor, I just have to drink a thing of vodka, and I could be Saylor. Short vol. I don't know. Good question. I don't trade vol. Sleep is not for the weak, and no, I'm not going to link up with Diddy. Photonic computing, I mean, there's plenty of papers about it. You know. I don't know anything about Volantis. I've heard of them, but I don't think they do photonic computing. They're doing they're doing like some weird core technology. It's not exactly photonic compute. It's just it's waveguides basically. But it's still electronic core. Yeah, it's more of a photonic motherboard. That's a good way to put it. The vision for QCLS to make the great photonic computer that big AI companies would use instead of GPUs. That is the vision. It's an ayahuasca vision. I'm on a vision quest. How did you get so handsome? I forgot we're on full view. So sorry about that. I know you guys aren't here for my face. Well, maybe some of you weirdos are. There we go. "10-minute rundown of photonic computing. What are the odds your photonic computing works?" Yeah, so there's already companies doing this. There's a company called Opticore, and there's another company called Neurophos. There was a company called Luminous. There's been academic photonic computing chips. There are chips in China. So it's really not some huge thing. I don't read too much of the chat, Superstar. But I'm also here to entertain and promote Godel. Yeah, so I think that photonic computing is known to work. I think the question is, can you make the entire unit attractive to customers? So the main thing that photonic computing is good for, that most people think it's good for at least, is MATMLs. It's very, very, very good at MATMLs. And obviously MATMLs are the heart of a neural network. But, you know, the downside, of course, is that neural networks also do nonlinear functions, right? So you guys may know how a transformer propagates. If you don't, let me show you. Yeah. So here's the transformer architecture. So which of these steps are linear and which of these are nonlinear? Let's just do the single layer, or the single, yeah, I guess it's single layer decoder layer. So when you have the input, this is, you know, there's some ADC that has to take this from electronic to photonic. You do all this stuff on GPU or FPGA, I think. And then here, the attention head is mostly still MATMLs, but there are nonlinear functions that are like softmax. You also have layer normalization, which I don't know if you're here. Okay, yeah, here's the add-in norm. These are all nonlinear in the normalization, at least. The feed-forward MLP, of course, has its activation functions are nonlinear, and then softmax is nonlinear here. So, it's a fairly, the matmls are really easy to do. The nonlinearities are not, and that's where you can get punished by making one of these computers, because if you have to go back and forth between linear or electronic and optical, where obviously, sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on the market here, trying to trade a little bit. Well, a matml is linear, right? A neural network has to have nonlinearities or it can't be a universal function approximator. But regardless, the parts that are, if you want to split it up into the parts that are, I'm just looking around for a presentation or something, but if you want to split it up into parts that are, you put the good parts on the good chip and the bad parts on the bad chip, or the linear parts on the linear chip, and the nonlinear parts on the nonlinear chip. I think that's a mistake. People are doing that. But I think that, it is a bit of a mistake in the sense that, you have to go back and forth between two different domains, and that's going to cost you a lot. So I think there's, a really much better play in doing it all in light. Now, how do you do it all in light? Light does not do nonlinear functions. So we have, I wouldn't call it a secret technology, but, we have a technology that does that. And then the other issue is at least on transformers, the attention heads have state. You have to chunk them in memory somewhere. And that's something where, you have to be willing to store stuff, and storage in optics is not exactly a solved problem either. So, that's the, that's kind of the other thing we had to solve, or we are solving. So the third thing, this is our proprietary technology, no license. We are developing and patenting. Yeah, so quantum is sort of a joke compared to what we're doing, in my opinion. At least for AI, there's no way to scale past, silicon. I was actually on a call with one of the biggest semiconductor companies. Actually, sorry, it was one of the biggest computer companies in the world last night. I won't say who, but my girl and I were pitching them, and the lady from the company said, look, I'm in 100% agreement with you. I don't think we can get out. We have to get out of electronic transistors somehow. And there's no way we can scale what we have as a technology community if we just stick to transistors. It's a very shitty place to be. And I think that's true. I think it's going to be really hard to scale a GPU 1,000x. What technology? And I'm not saying we can scale a GPU 1,000x or 1,000,000x. But what technology is even possible to do that with? And I think that's photonic computing. So, yeah, exactly. D-Lau got it right. So I think there's, a lot of
interest and excitement, but it's really the computer company described it as a moonshot. And I said, well, it is a moonshot. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. It might take 5 years, but the quantum guys have been at their shit for 20 years. I think the harder, the nice part about this is that it has some moonshot properties, no doubt, but silicon photonics is a big deal now. You don't have to make your own foundry or design your own exotic chips like some of the quantum guys have to get some really custom stuff. I'll talk about DACs in a second. I don't think DACs are the bottleneck anymore. DACs are the bottleneck for Opticore and Neurofos because they want to do all those conversions, which I think is kind of nuts. I don't want to convert every signal to light to electricity to light to electricity. That sounds like a disaster to me. I want those guys to win because we all need to win together in this space if we're going to be the future NVIDIA, Intel, an AMD. I don't mind if one of us is AMD like us or they're NVIDIA. That's fine. As long as we all get to the promised land, I'm cool with that. But how do we get to the promised land? That's the question. And they want to do it with DACs and ADCs. So, convert from analog, which is light, to digital, which is electricity, and the digital encoding, most importantly, because you can have an analog electrical. But when you hear me say digital or electric, I really am talking about, the electric digital signal that is transistor based, not analog electrical. So you go from light to electricity to light to light to electricity. I mean, you lose every time you have to do these hops. Yes, my wife is an investor as well. She's on the board too. So, our goal is to try to avoid that by staying in light the entire time. Anyway, Meta out with the news that they are going to form their own cloud. Not surprising to me in the sense that they're going to have models and tokens, but somewhat surprising to people that, potentially they will be renting compute as well. I think the market's taking this a little too seriously for now. I don't think Meta necessarily wants to be in the compute business. I think they want to give you a model plus compute, but the idea of renting you a raw GPU still seems off to me. It would be a little bit bearish if true, but the Bloomberg article I read wasn't really that convincing that they were going to do that. And I think the already quick carnage in the sector, with many stocks down now 5 to 10% over, a sentence that was a maybe from what was really a planned Meta initiative, which is, of course, they're going to serve their models on their own cloud. Everybody is doing that. So I don't think NeoCloud guys are cooked. I think it's competitive that Meta's going to have. Look, Meta wasn't spending $100 billion on GPUs for nothing. I mean, this is, we all expected Meta to, at some point, to release a product. And they've released a product. And, so I'm not sure why, this is surprising. The surprising part was, well, what if they sell you the model and the GPU together, which sort of makes sense because OpenAI is implicitly selling you the outputs of their model on their GPU cluster. But if they're directly renting you the GPU too, where you can do whatever you want on that GPU, well, that's AWS's business. That's Meta's business. That's SpaceX's business. And again, SpaceX not down. AMD really not down much. It's the stuff that's sort of very vulnerable. Nebius and CoreWeaver down. Stuff that's gone up a lot, like Micron, for example, which is hurting yours truly. But that kind of thing. I'm not sure I'd buy the dip on CoreWeaver, Nebius. These are sort of tough businesses to be in, regardless. When you buy a computer and you rent it for 20 or 30% premium, it's you run this risk of like, well, what happens when the demand's not there? Now you're holding on to this stuff at a terrible loss. So, we'll see. I don't think Meta's given up on soda at all. Meta will always have the distribution, which is really important. So if somebody else reaches soda, they become a customer of that company's state of the art. IQM is that those are the quantum guys? Every quantum guy is going public. Yeah, friend's zone is correct. I mean, add leverage in and you're really wondering what the heck are you doing, Low margin infrastructure plus leverage is a recipe for disaster. But on the flip side, if you're really AGI pilled and you think that we're just going to have massive factories of machines and that we're never going to not, be the world is not going to be, the world's going to change forever. And we're just going to have mountains and mountains and mountains of GPUs, just nonstop, nonstop GPUs everywhere. Then yeah, that's possible. And if so, that's where we're going to be. Every corner of this earth will be a GPU and energy going into it. I mean, that's the vision some people have. Do you have that vision? Do you like that? Do you like the sound of that? Why not? Yeah, I don't know, Canon X. I'm not sure there is insane growth needed to justify Micron's valuation. I mean, they've had the insane growth. I don't know if you saw their last quarter. That was pretty huge. What's a sub-Q account? Sorry. The D-Wave? I've never got the D-Wave account. What's sub-Q? Oh, subquadratic. No, still no. Those guys have disappeared quietly. We're trading Micron. We're trading a few other stocks here. I don't know if one should buy bonds or not. Well, everyone, when people invest, everyone wants to be an expert in what they're trading. That's kind of the nature of investing, right? You have to become a fast expert. You're never going to be an expert compared to the guy that's spent his whole life in this space. But I think that, there is that's the basic nature of investing, right? Here on Goodell, the way Nebius is absolutely hemorrhaging right now is scaring me. Well, I think it sort of makes sense. I mean, if Meta's really coming for you, that means Meta not only doesn't have to be your client anymore, they're now your competitor. That is something that's a little worrisome if you're in the cloud business. But having said that, we don't even know if it's true. So until we use the product and we don't know what they're thinking, are they going to be using the entire fleet, or are they going to be using, a tiny amount of it? We just don't know. So it remains to be seen, just what that looks like. I gave you advice to buy Bitcoin? Doesn't sound like me. Okay, market's now open. Some recovery into the high growth stocks. Bloom, Micron. There's a lot of stuff moving and shaking here. Bloom ripping right back, almost green now. Announcing a deal yesterday, sort of expected deal, but announcing a deal nevertheless with Brookfield. See where Micron goes. We bought some Bloom at 290 and are now selling it at 300. It's a pretty nice trade there. But plenty of other mistakes in the port, so don't get it twisted. It's a rough one. Wow, Bloom working out pretty well there. Now 310. Micron's still heavy though. Zuck did say, if they overbought that they would, they would rent them out, and here they are renting them out. So Zuck is lost in the sauce. That's certainly a way to put it. Market getting smacked around a little bit here. Partially Nvidia down 3%. Bloom back down to 300. Kiss 310 briefly. Micron 1070. Level I'd buy at down 7%. I like turtles. We all like turtles. Bloom refuses to go down. Pretty impressive. Let's look at most. My P&L is not looking great, but it is also on the screen for daily. I don't give intraday too much intraday P&L visibility. All right, let's see. Meta is up 7%. Micron down 7%. SanDisk down 9%, taking a breather. These are the hottest stocks in the market. NVIDIA down 3%. SpaceX down 2%. SpaceX was flat earlier. Would have been a good short. AMD down 5%. Microsoft's up, which is a little odd, considering Azure is pretty important to them. Nebius down 16% now. CoreWeave down 11%, continuing to bleed here. Intel down 4.5%. AMAT down 8%. Entire sector coming under pressure here on this meta news. Bloomberg putting out that story. Bloom Energy down very fractionally, basically green. Amazon slightly green. Apple as well. Alphabet as well. Taiwan Semi down 3.5%. Also news of etched chip, probably not making people that comfortable either. Palantir up quite a bit. Marvell down 6%. Starting to see a little comeback here with Micron and Bloom bouncing a bit. You could see something like Micron go green. I mean, if you see Zuck come out and say, we're not going to be a cloud company, we're just going to sell our models. Because the clarification here is really important. And I'm guessing we're going to see clarification from the information pretty soon here. Other tidbit from the information the other day, really important critical tidbit here, was the information said that OpenAI had discovered a way to lower their inference costs by 50%, which would be really big if true. Not clear if true, but would be very big. That would mean OpenAI could lower their costs by 50%, right? That's what that means. So that's very bearish for NVIDIA if true. Bloom Energy just wants to go up. I mean, somebody's buying the crap out of this. Bad day. This is bad. This news is also bad for Bloom. It's just as bad for Bloom as it is for Micron, but Bloom is just going crazy. Which company's employees are the biggest leakers? Maybe OpenAI. Probably OpenAI. Anthropic doesn't leak very much, since it's a cult, and SpaceX, I would say, doesn't leak that much either. No, I would say 50% less costs would result in the opposite. It'd be great for OpenAI, really bad for NVIDIA. If OpenAI needed half as many NVIDIA chips, I mean, that's pretty bearish. Micron rallying a bit here. The Edge chip is competitive with NVIDIA. They have not released deep details about it, but they certainly have starting to talk about it. Nice rally here, at least on Bloom. Micron's still stuck in the mud a little. SPY's down 45 basis points. Yeah, unbelievable rally here in Bloom. Was up 330 last night. We shorted it. I think 333. We covered it a little early and then started buying and now being rewarded nicely. Yeah, I have a laptop here in front of me where I'm trading on that laptop. Yeah, I think Micron will keep running. Little indigestion. Yeah, Victor, for sure. But the stock is acting very strong here. I'm selling almost everything I have there. I think I'm just going to be out. Okay, I am gone on Bloom. Sold my last amount at 315. Tempted to keep trading it, but why not, right? I'm not short enough SLS. SLS has a 150% borrow rate. That's how bad people want to short it. 150%. Wendy's? Fuck cares about Wendy's? You're in the middle of the biggest technology industrial revolution of all time. You're talking about Wendy's? Practice? Wendy's? Wendy's? No way, Clark. Bloom is so fucking strong. Are you crazy? Soros would never short this. First thing Soros taught my friend who worked for George Soros, my old boss. You see a bubble, you fucking pile in, baby. I don't know, Rudy. I'm getting the same question. It's so painful. Hold on to your shares, apes. Crazy ass apes. Okay, look at this rally. Starting to get Micron now almost 1100 again. Probability POS, probability of success. Yeah, I'm not sure people overestimate quant investing that much. You probably saw the same podcast I did. Did you see the Man Group guy? Is that who you're talking about? Okay, Micron's starting to rally quite a bit here. We bought a lot earlier. Oh, great. I'm happy you bought some QCLS Q8. I'm definitely going to give that company my all. Tell me about it, Lulzifier. Oof. It's been one of my worst calls ever. Yeah, I'm just gonna hold it. Shoot. I don't know much about the CFA. I don't think it hurts. It depends on how much credibility you have yourself. It's a never hurts to have more credibility, right? Trying to find the guy who put me in this Blaze stock. I think it's this Eck. BE now 320 almost. Unbelievable rally there. Bloom, bloom, bloom. Sold too fast. Just Blaze. 420. Backblaze is the company. Micron coming back a little bit here. There's Endless. Maybe it's still stuck in the mud. Yeah, I wish, Clark, yeah. That'd be nice if I could tell you the exact tops and bottoms. Leopold. Leopold. HMAP is how you get heat map. Each thing, just like Bloomberg, has a function. So here's a heat map. My GPU is going crazy now. This is like playing a top video game. I'm a dinosaur. No doubt about that. Shaz is a piece of Shaz. Getting smoked on Shaz. Yeah, I want to look at Amgen too. I'm not much of a gamer anymore. This is 250 milliseconds. You know, React is I think you gotta React is great, but I don't think drawing this in React is a great idea. Oh, Corning down 11%. I didn't notice that. Is that because just Corning's been so hot? Lamb down 6. SanDisk has come back nicely, actually. That's a pretty bullish sign. My GPU is landed after sounding like it was taking off. When I wrap in the booth, that's when I take off as well. If you guys have ever heard me spit, it is fire. I can confirm. Mixtape will be out soon. My rap name? I have a big EVMN position. No SoundCloud yet. I'm waiting to get signed. GS9? Yeah, I saw that bounce, but still a bad call either way, man. Yeesh. Terrible call. Of course, I remember Shmurda. I talked to Shmurda. Yeah, I think that's more or less right, Aries. You got rugged on QCLS? How? Stock has been 380 forever. You don't want to see my portfolio. It's pure trash right now. Yeah, SLS borrow fee 150%. As everyone knows, it's garbage. Garbage. Nike is up. It was down 10% last night. Oh, this big borrow rate on SLS scares me. Should I get out of this Reddit? One of my Godel clients put me in Reddit. Works out really well. Made $20 on it for share. Amazing. Out. I sold the Reddit. Godell's gonna give me great ideas. That's why you should use it too. GodellTerminal.com. That sounded like Oprah. GodellTerminal.com. Everybody gets a Godell. Soon you'll be able to connect your brokerage to Godell, and it'll basically make it much, much, much cheaper if you do that. Not connect your brokerage, excuse me, deposit into Godell. So if you connect your brokerage, it's cheaper, but then if you use our brokerage, that's much, I think it'd basically be free if you are not a piker. If you have like 50,000 or more, it'll basically be free. So how could you beat that? I drank too much coffee. I have to go to the pee-pee. I always tell my son, I said, "Do you make poo-poo caca?" And he looks at me. He doesn't really know. He's like a little cat. Listen, anything in big letters, I'm long a lot of it. That's basically it. Bunch of the other ones, I'm short. No, I'll show the portfolio when I get a chance. You know I love you guys, right? I need you to know that. Yeah, so if you have interactive, the only thing you do is connect your brokerage account, and then you get a discount, and we see your brokerage data. And at some point, you'll be able to kind of like trade through Godell on your interactive. So the UI will just be better, hopefully. But if you deposit money into Godell, it's not a prime brokerage. You can't trade with other firms. But it's just like we're like your Robinhood, or we're like your interactive. Are you from Africa? You could connect your brokerage now and you get a discount on Godell in exchange for giving us your data. But yeah, I'm working on like a really nice UI that hopefully you can use. But honestly, I mean, I don't, with a really good UI, I'm not sure what advantage interactive would give you, to be honest. Once we clean up and have a really slick UI, I think you're gonna see that interactive is kind of not that good, but we'll see. Interactive's good for international, but we're gonna be partnering with them at some point. Yeah, it's US only. We do have a Trump account for easy money stacks. Basically pulling everything from connected brokerage. Yeah, we are probably at some point going to let the connected brokerage people manage some money. It's got a lot of stuff we're working on. Yeah, interactive is not really built for professionals, to be honest. Is this live? No, the clock on my screen is... Some of you people are bozos. Straight fools. We are working on the block functionality. I'm so sorry. There's so much to work on. This is a huge app. Always thank you for your patience. How good is the brokerage data you get? It's very good. It's very valuable. Just tell Claude to do it. I know. I forgot about that. There is no screen for the red news. We should do that, though. That shouldn't be too hard to do. Eve Immune. You know, what can I say? It's been a fucking dog. Not a terrible pick. I don't think bending spoons is too exciting. But obviously they've kind of done well to some extent. Come on, Micron, get out of your funk. All right, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. All right, so Meta, making their own cloud now of 9%. Other guys are covering a little bit, but still a little bit of jitters out there. SpaceX now down 6%. You know, we pointed this out earlier. It was flat. Said this is bad for SpaceX, but SpaceX wasn't selling off then. Now it is. Abivax 138. Bitcoin still struggling with 60,000. Quantum rallying a little bit. Yeah, there's always cute girls in the airport, right? I don't have an opinion on copper, sorry. Talking about copper. Like I know what the fuck to do with copper. Proudest recent pick? Yeah, I've been a little cold lately, to be honest. Yeah, I've been pretty cold, but you know, make a comeback. Things will heat up soon. Ah! Arr. Shadow banned. How do you get shadow banned on a chat? What does being Albanian have anything to do with copper? The fuck is you talking about? How do you learn to trade stocks? Well, I would suggest you run away. It's just not a great idea. Run for the hills. Yeah, the books aren't going to help you too much, right? I mean, what book is going to teach you how to make money? That just doesn't make sense. But you know, I would, you know, one good book to read is, you know, there's a couple books, right, that you could read. One is Jack Schwager's series called, hey, yeah, sure, FC. Big Fat Cat on stream. Everyone's pumped to see Fat Cat.
Is it stream time?
I'm streaming.
Chit chat?
If you want chit chat, sure. You know, do you want to stay out of the view?
No.
Oh, yeah, you don't care? Yeah, well, Fat Cat, big reveal. First time ever. Fat Cat's on the stream. Fat Cat, the beloved front-end developer for Godel. What's up, dude?
See the memory crash this morning?
Memory crash? What the? Oh, the memory stock crash.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
memory crash.
No. You're thinking AWS. No.
So what are you doing? You're killing me. Yeah, the memory. Did I see it? I was up at 6 a.m. trading this stupid thing. Meta's doing their own thing.
Yeah. But why is it bearish for everyone else?
Well, okay, so think about it this way: if Meta bought a zillion GPUs,
Yeah.
right? I actually know the guys that run that part of Meta. They didn't tell me. By the way, I don't know that well. You know, they're buying 100 billion of GPUs a year, buying 100 billion of GPUs a year. Somebody asks Zuck, you know, if you bought too many, you know, what happens if you bought too many?
Yeah.
Because they're thinking, what the fuck are you doing? You know, Meta barely makes 100 billion a year. For them to fucking just take it all and dump it on GPUs is a little out of hand, right? So he says, well, don't worry. If I did that, I'll just rent them out again.
Yeah.
And now they're renting them out again. And it's kind of like, well, now not if you're Nvidia, you're sitting there saying, thank you for the 100 billion. Come again next year. Will be another 100 billion. Yes, it will. Great. Next year comes around, and Nvidia says, well, Meta, do you need 100 billion? They say, no, we bought too many. So
Oh, and
at
is that
least,
bearish for the chips though?
of course, some chips
Because
remember
it's like
everybody.
surplus. Oh, yeah.
And then they say, well, do you want at least the 10 or 20 billion for, you know, something? You got to be doing something, right? And they said, well, actually, not only are we don't need more, but whatever we do have, we're renting out. So your other customers won't buy from you because they can just rent ours.
Yeah.
So it'd be one thing if Meta said, you know what, we have a ton of these chips, we don't need them, we're just going to throw them away or burn them or just not use them. Instead, it's sucking other demand too and
Yeah.
saying, oh, you know, you guys don't go to Nvidia, get them from us.
But Grok, didn't they do this 2-3 weeks ago that you just rented their stuff out to
SpaceX.
Anthropic?
Yeah.
So, because for me, there's two ways of interpreting it. One is everybody bought way too many chips, and two is it's actually a better business model to rent to the winner than to try to do it yourself.
Yeah, but that's what CoreWeave does. That's what Nebius does. That's
Yeah.
what AWS does. That's what Azure does. So, you know, those stocks are down.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you have too much of something, being able to get out of it by renting it out is at least like better than taking a loss. But it's certainly not bullish. And yeah, maybe the winner, if the winner needs like 10x more,
Yeah.
right? Then that's kind of like, all right, well, that's not bad for Nvidia or Micron. It's just kind of like egg on the face for Meta and, you know, Google, or SpaceX, I should say. But then Google, Anthropic, and whoever are just buying the crap out of these things. It's hard to say. I mean, I think we still don't know what's happening. I, for one, am skeptical that Meta's going to rent you GPUs.
Like personally, or it's going to be B2B?
I think it's either one. I think it's going to be Meta's going to do cloud, and that cloud is going to be, which was expected. They have their new model Muse, which is Alex Wang's creation. And I think they're going to say you can use Muse like you can use OpenAI, and you can rent it out. I'm sorry, you can rent Muse via API, and then so you're getting the model and the compute. That's what you get when you send an API request, right? You're actually sort of renting the model, not explicitly,
Yeah.
but you're renting the model's being served somewhere, and they're serving it as a premium to you. The alternative is they rent you a GPU. I think that I can't really see Meta doing that unless they really overbought, which is why this is a little scary.
Yeah. Imagine like you resurrect Pattern and it's running on Meta GPUs. That would be a wild.
Yeah, it'd sort of be like, well, you know, but that's the thing. It's you know, changing it from a CoreWeave or Lambda.
Yeah.
You know, they're just another provider in that race. But I could see Meta doing an API. You could see them doing a chat GPT. In fact, they have one now. It's what is it, ai.meta.com or something like that. And it's got users. I mean, people are using it. They have the distribution. They have all the users from Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. So I think that, you know, they want to make the most of those chips. But I think that the idea that they'll rent like AWS.
Yeah, like you can get the Lambda version of the Meta thing. Like, it's so much infrastructure just to like plug it in, give it to you, charge it, do the like.
I think if they think that might as well, it depends on how you're looking at the corporate world. So if your corporation, if you want to sell to corporates, which Meta's never done,
Yeah.
it's a brand new business for them, right? It's like cool to them. It's like, all right, we'll make a business out of this. And one, they got to sell API, which is great. And a lot of, look, developers use this stuff. Corporates use enterprise AI too. So you have that, and that could be a new 10, 20, billion-dollar business plus for Meta, which is they need the growth like all businesses. And then the GPU side, again, it just seems weird for them to do, but if given they've now are one of the biggest players in the world, maybe even by far, in erecting data centers, you know, buying and procuring huge amounts of chips to the point where they're buying chemicals,
Yeah.
they're buying mines, you know, like, you know, no joke, like they're buying raw, you know, elements, you know, if you're doing, and raw optical components from China and stuff like that. So you might as freaking well, if you're standing up huge data centers and you're really good at it, I think renting out the API is almost, you know, kind of easier than doing all that. So it's like just a little bit more on top to now you're a data center business. The question is like, one, does OpenAI want a Meta data center while they're trying to kill Meta at the same time?
Yeah.
You know, as everyone's fraternizing while they're also trying to murder each other. If you're Anthropic, same question. It's like, I mean, at what point does Anthropic rent GPUs from OpenAI, right? I mean, it's kind of a silly.
I found it weird that they would accept what was it called, the Giga something from Elon. He gave them what was that data center called? I forgot. Giga Chat.
I think it's the Colossus.
Yeah, Colossus.
Yeah. You know, it was odd because he was also calling them names.
Misanthropic. Yeah, he was talking
you know,
wild. Yeah.
talking crazy shit, and you know, it's kind of odd. But again, Meta's always been a weird player in this thing. I mean, it'd be truly weird if something like Apple did it or whatever. But like, you know, it's funny. I mean, you don't know where the next inference is coming from, and it could very well be from a Neo lab, a third party out of nowhere. A lot of rumors out there about this stuff, so it's hard to say, you know, who and where and what is going to be the big winner. Even Apple, you know, you could see jumping into the space as a customer for Siri inference and stuff like that. Now they want to do it all in their own hardware,
Yeah.
but their own hardware isn't exactly equipped for the superpower. I bet you they're using Claude. You
Under
know,
the hood, didn't they make a deal with Google that they can use Gemini for something?
they might be using Gemini too, but even Meta is using Anthropic.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Everybody's doing it. But I told you about the Unity AI thing, right?
yes,
Where it's like Unity had this AI, big splashy marketing thing, use our AI, and then right under the drop down Unity AI is connect to Claude, connect to Codex. And I tried 30 minutes of Unity's AI. I think it was terrible. And then I connected it to Claude and it actually worked. So it's like,
yeah. If you tell a developer at Apple, no, you can't use the model you want, you got to use
Yeah.
this model, they're not going to be happy. And you know, the token spend, Dylan Patel did a bunch of diligence on this, sent a semi-analysis. Hey, we're on stream, we're live.
we scared the QA guy.
That's Fat Cat's partner, Phantom. These guys all have their hacker names. I don't even know their real names.
He's funds low in the chat.
Funds low.
Yeah,
Okay. Really amazing name. I thought it was fun slow, but okay.
I don't know one of those.
Stocks dropping. No, I mean funds low or fund slow.
Yeah.
They're the same, right?
Yeah.
Just where you put the punctuation or the capitalization. Micron falling out of bed here. Tried to rally a little bit. Did not work. Same thing's going on with SanDisk. Now down 9%. Not looking bullish. We'll see if they hold on for dear life. Nvidia though, looking fine. Only down 2% and has rallied. So Nvidia is arguably the biggest loser in all this,
Yeah.
right? Because they're very levered to selling Meta chips every year. So, you know, to me, that doesn't make the market sort of basically just using this as an excuse to sell some beta,
Yeah.
which, you know, of course that beta will come back. But if the fundamental alpha part of this is Meta is stepping out and excusing themselves from this orgy of demand, then, you know, it would be Nvidia that, you know, as well as Micron and SanDisk and everyone, but like,
Yeah.
you know, they're all going to have a huge problem if Meta's really quitting AI, you know, in terms of buying chips, not in terms of maybe development. You know, these stocks will all be down 50%.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, you know, just going back to 2000, my old boss Steve Shapiro and Mike Au, you know, two hedge fund veterans, you know, they said, you know, when the optical game back then was all fiber under the ground, laying fiber networks. They said, business was gangbusters, just like it is now. And the time, they were up 140% that year, which
Yeah.
for a hedge fund is out of control. That's maybe a YOLO account, right? But they did that on a lot of money. And they saw that there was a tiny slowdown, like the went from gangbusters. We can't possibly sell this many chips next quarter. We can't possibly sell this much, because there were component suppliers, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And then finally, they said, well, this quarter was great, but it was a tiny little slow. And that was the time to pounce.
Yeah.
And so is that
as soon as the
now?
fever breaks, it's like, yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
is that what we're looking at here with Meta, sort of saying, because again, in May, he specifically said, to answer the question, what happens if overbought? If overbought, we can at least rent them out.
Yeah.
Because every day we get calls, can we rent your GPUs? Can we rent your GPUs? And so the question is it, Elon sort of like, well, this is just temporary.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, when are you going to need?
It's a very big thing to build and then give to someone else. That is very weird. It's like you build an entire
It's
cathedral.
so expensive.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that he looks at it as this is really short term. We can take it back anytime you want. Well, it's like, when are you going to need 100,000 GPUs?
Yeah. It's
For-
like
for what?
renting out the Gigafactory. Like, why is this not strategically absolutely crucial to you?
Yeah, well, I get it. I mean, you have somebody who wants to use your equipment temporarily.
Yeah.
That's cool. But the question is, well, why? How do we know that you're ever going to need it again?
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
a good, yeah.
Because I think that's where.
Like, do you need it in 2 years? Are the GPUs even that good in 5 years? Yeah.
Right.
What's the
'Cause
depreciation on this? Because the car factory lasts 20, 30 years.
you didn't
But,
want to
yeah.
be in this business, right?
It's
You
weird,
were just
yeah.
happened to be in this business because you got to do something about having all this
Yeah.
hardware.
If Mercedes starts renting out its car factories, there's something going on.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And so I think there's definitely a question about this. But at the same time, it's like, these people aren't dumb. If they bought all these chips thinking they were going to use them and something's changed or whatever the case is, like Meta's training model.
Yeah.
So why do you need if you don't need half the GPUs to serve it, then, it makes sense that, okay, let me rent them out for 6 months, make some
Yeah.
money while I train. And then even if I drop a new model tomorrow that I trained, my inference demand isn't going to be OpenAI's demand. It's
Yeah.
going to take a little time to work up there. So in the meantime, let me rent it out, and then I can rug, the next guy that's using them. Because, these are all short-term contracts, and it would be my dream to imagine, I'm renting to Anthropic, and Anthropic gets very comfy. They're using they're using me for 20, 30% of their business. And then all of a sudden, I rug them. They got to go find a massive new supplier. And then I have the competitor to them. They're out of capacity. I just basically yoink their business, right? Hopefully. So I think there's something, there's something there. Holy D's nuts, Fat Cat. Let's see. 1,000-calorie muffins. What else? The guy looks like he works at Linus
Linus Tech Tips.
Tech Tips.
Dude's a dork.
Who is Martin talking to? Is he schizo? There's nobody there. You're gonna finish that muffin. My dog is doing live pods now. Just joined. Who is this guy? Sad Sacks and Fat Cats. Autofocus and Mike's Marty. We need it in the stream. Autofocus is fighting for life. Israel with the autofocus. Fat Cat Playa, everyday new guest. My man Fat Cat, Godell Legend. We need mics for the guest.
Do you want a second mic?
Fat Cat out of witness protection. Yo, what up, Fat Cat? We love Fat Cat. Chat Cat Poggers. That's what they feel about you. Fat Cat is the nicest mod. Bring Alan back. Wow. Bring Alan back. That's kind of fucked up, right?
I don't take it personally.
Um,
I gotta get back to the JavaScript dungeon anyway.
That's true. What happens in the dungeon?
Memory leaks, race conditions, web workers,
What kind of race conditions? What are you talking about? Race conditions?
No, it's a technical term. It's when two things want to happen at once in computing,
Chinese?
and one of them win.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's a technical thing. I do know some things in computing, but I only know the things I learned the hard way. That's the problem.
Makes sense. Micron continues to fall out of bed here. 1060.
Yeah.
Everyone and their brother is long the stock. Why I couldn't tell you.
Did I tell you about my Uber driver? Told me to buy Micron.
No, we didn't.
I'm not kidding. I took an Uber to
Whoa.
a restaurant.
Oh, shit.
No, this was 9 months ago, and I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
find that man.
So
Bring him here.
he was
Get
like,
the
"Oh, what
paycheck."
do you do?" And I told him about Godel, and he's like, "Yo, are you in Micron?" And I'm like, "What?" And I look at Micron, and it had like shot to 200, and I'm like, "There's no way I'm buying this. Like, this is the top." It's
That man is no longer driving a cab.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think
You're gonna be about to be
he's like, my
driving him.
brother's in it, my blah blah blah, and I was like, I thought about it, but then usually the rational thing is once your Uber driver tells you about it, that's top, right? But this was at 200.
Short.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't buy.
This
Just
man is a genius.
yeah, same with SanDisk. I was looking at it at 200, and I was like, I was telling Pluto about it. I was like, I don't know, and we were both like, it's a little hot. Now it's at 2,000. It's just like,
You know, most people get scared when their stock is going crazy. They should view it the opposite way.
they should buy more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why is that a bad thing? You know, everyone's excited to buy my stock. I mean, that is fantastic. And SLS, yeah, and I know you guys are out there. Some of you fuckers, yeah, that's right, that are long SLS. You know, you guys who are asking for it on Reddit, especially some of you are on Reddit. You're gonna lose all your money. Shkreli told you. It's 150% borrow rate. Do you morons know what that means? Do you understand that means somebody's willing to borrow money and pay an interest rate of 150%? That's worse than Montel Williams. They're willing to borrow. That's worse than, mob guys are giving 20, 30%.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're 5 times the Italian mafia, 150% just so I can short this stock, just so I can sell it at 14. Do you think the stock's worth 14? Is that a fair price? I'm willing to borrow 150% interest rate just to sell your stock at 14. I'd be concerned with that if I were you. I'd be highly concerned. Just saying. I know this is your first biotech, but it might be a little concerning. Now, could 1 in a million happen? Yeah, 1 in a million could happen. But, if someone's willing to borrow money at 150% just to sell my security, that price of that security is going to drop. That's almost a guarantee at that point, because the borrow rate is basically telling you that. Anyway, thank you, Fat Cat, for coming through. All the new stuff on Godel. Thank you, Fat Cat and his team. Beautiful things. HMAP, other cool new things coming. Map. You got Map, you got HMAP, IMAP. All different products on Godel now. You can just put them on your terminal. Just type IMAP and hit enter, HMAP and hit enter, or Map and hit enter. And you got to learn these commands over time. Anything new on the horizon you want to tell anybody about?
I'm very invested in making earnings season better. I think right now earnings season, I know how to run the earnings season on the terminal. I showed the new guy, but I basically showed him Micron earnings. Here's what you got to pull up, all these commands. I want one click.
Okay. So
Automatic.
is this calendar? Is this what is it?
Basically, so we talked about this with like curated experiences, where it's like, well, number one, earnings calendar, so you know what's coming up. Number two, go into like a beautiful, maybe full screen, maybe other screen mode, where it's like, oh, Micron earnings are happening. You want news up, you want chat up, you want intraday, you want transcript up, you want sentiment, you want how's the sector performing. Like,
It's interesting. Nobody's ever really done this.
yeah.
It kind of sounds like a layout more than it sounds like
It's like a one-click curated experience, and the only new thing is that we have the calendar.
Okay, the calendars
Yeah.
will be a function like eCal or something like
Exactly.
that. And then what I really want us to do is do a little bit better job on the transcripts and the live event, because if the live event
Yeah.
is happening, why can't I, stream it? I don't want to log in to go find Micron's earnings site. if you're a buy-sider or even a very serious stay-at-home person, retail investor or family office, if you have enough money,
Yeah.
it's a family office. Is Fat Cat Family Office, FCFO?
Fat Cat Capital.
Yeah. Um, you basically, if you're me, you do enough of these fucking calls. Every new thing you got to log into and sign up for the
Oh,
conference
yeah, it's a
call.
nightmare.
It's a real pain in the butt, and it'd be nice to just like, no, the call is ongoing. Like it just
Yeah.
pops up. Sign when this call starts. Start streaming it.
Yeah.
And you got the transcript coming down. And maybe one day we could have this. Somebody like an Alan or Sheetal or somebody is commentating in the chat. Of course, our Godel users will be there,
Yeah.
but someone that works here or works for some other company that's being paid to sit and moderate that chat and say,
Yeah.
oh, this is way worse than expected. It was giving you commentary during the call. It
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
neat.
It could be the one place where we let pikers chat with other subscribers. We call it the peanut gallery. And only during earnings is the peanut gallery allowed. Someone will have to moderate it though.
I don't know, man. Pikers are really
They're starting to grind your gears.
no. I don't. I mean, I just don't deal with them.
Oh,
But
damn.
Pikers are free users for what it's
Yeah.
worth. I don't know if I want to emancipate Pikers.
Okay.
You know,
We
the
keep them in the cage.
The Emancipation Proclamation for Pikers is
Yeah, you used to call me a tyrant for bullying the pikers.
yeah. I'm keep
But
going back and forth.
I think you're starting to see the light that, people who they use our software, they file bugs. One guy filed like 20 bugs on
Wow.
Oculus Rift.
Are they real people though?
According to Cloudflare, they are.
No, not really human.
Oh, in that sense, I see.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love being a piker. Somebody writes.
Yeah, well, dude, sometimes pikers have like crazy alpha. Yeah.
Bro.
No, ask the chat. Like, some people in Godel chat have said I found like a couple pics from the pikers because some of the people
What side are you on? You've changed.
look. I'm not like a number one piker defender here. I'm just saying they make me laugh. I did last thing. You know about the bug where they accidentally got their name back for 3 months?
Yes.
Yeah, and then I fixed that bug, and some people weren't around long enough to know that was a bug, and there was an uprising.
Let me ask you this: would you let your son or daughter, in the future, God willing, marry a piker? I don't think you would.
No, I'd be on my porch with a shotgun. Like, get this Robin Hood fucking bullshit out of here. All right, I'm out. See you later.
Trying to get my mic here. All right. Yeah, that would be funny. A Piker King. Okay, Micron really falling out of bed here. SanDisk down 2. But again, without NVIDIA dropping, I mean, is this really a drop? That makes sense. I think there's, it sort of doesn't make sense to me. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out, but
Small green on Evo, yeah. Fat cat does not look very fat, does he? Even Bloom is down a little bit. So this pressure is definitely stressing the market a little. Name him Thin Cat. After Ozempic, who is a fat cat? Or we've now down 13, 14%. Definitely pain being had here. Random Walk Through Wall Street. I don't think it's very good, to be frank. Is that Burton Malkiel or whatever? I read that. Seems like it was kind of shitty. A lot of mediocre books were written, including Nassim Taleb's books, which are largely regurgitation of stuff that you would read if you just kind of were well read. So if you're like brand new to reality and like reading things, he's a decent tour guide. But like, if you're learning about Monte Carlo for the first time from Nassim Taleb, that's just suspect. That's just suspect right there. The long-term capital management book is good, again, for people who are not, finance people, basically. If you're a real finance person, you read that stuff when you were a teenager. Yeah, I'm not short SpaceX like everyone else, no. Yeah, exactly. You looking brand new. Yeah, maybe J Dude, that could work. That's probably a decent trade. You want to do a heat map of trending? I'm not sure. Do not use martingale. Which martingale? Obvious. The one and only. Be right back.
Oops, sorry about that. I'm back. Things doing any better now? Does not look like it. Meta now 10%. What up? It'll work. It'll work. Don't worry. Just believe.
Yeah, I'm long Micron. Man, Nvidia's rallied. This is great. VCX. The fuck is VCX? Fundrise. Oh my god. Was this the thing that had Anduril or Anthropic? Josh knows. At least on a risk reward Sharp ratio basis, you're right. That's why those guys run like 5 billion a pod, because they're barely moving on the downside. I'm not shorting. Who's Patrick Boyle? Half of Wall Street's worked for Izzy at some point, right? Yeah, I don't think it's never hold a losing position. It's sell your losers quickly. Backwards, eh? Litecoin calls? You're trading Litecoin calls? I don't know who's shorting QCLS. Maybe it's somebody hoping to do a financing or something. I don't know. I like Abivax still.
Up. It's up again this morning, up almost 6%.
This is reporting.
Okay.
And this is reporting that I've literally, against my own interest, called. These are like, I'm profiting from this, right? So the reality is, you may not like us at my former school, Haverford or Berkeley, but enterprises in this country trust and love us, especially ones that are involved in critical infrastructure, both public and private. Okay, so I want for those countries, we're coming up to July 4th, I want for us and our friends across the globe to have the very best tech resources. In fact, the whole secret of Palantir is the forward deployed model, the products that have been 5 years ahead. You know, you've been with me for a long time. Everyone said FDEs were services. They said we don't even know what an ontology is. That's the only thing people talk about now. The secret was we delivered the best things for the warfighters. Those warfighters have serious trust issues, but it's not just the war vis-a-vis Frontier Labs. Then you have my enterprises in the private sector who have the same issues. They're like, why would they get access to my data if they're going to build my alpha? Why wouldn't I control the weights? Why wouldn't? And that's where you get this partnership. What aligns me with NVIDIA, and I think is what the technical customers want, which is control over their computer.
The fuck? Didn't this guy just start a firm? Sound?
Biosimilars all got creamed in Q1. Is that a reimbursement thing? Man, Uplinza's selling pretty well. Oop. Groupon. Come on. Still public? Tezspire slowing down. That was supposed to be a good drug. What happened? I can't believe Endplate. Well, Endplate has peaked. Okay. That it's not still growing. There's Blincyto. Also, no, Blincyto's still growing a little bit. Never would have thought that'd been almost a $2 billion drug. Xgeva starting to fall. Is denosumab going generic? I mean, everything's going generic, isn't it? We're all going to die someday. We're all going to the great generics in the sky. Repatha is the new denosumab. Evenity, man. Oh, Prolia just got whacked. Is that generics? Is it generic? Must be. Multiple biosimilars have launched globally. Yeesh. Yeah, no, everybody thinks SLS is going to fail. I got tons of messages on Wall Street today. 150% borrow rate. 150% interest rate to short the stock. Huge demand for shorting the stock. Somebody wants to pay you 150% to short your stock. That ain't a stock you want to be long. Unless you're the greatest of all time. Yeah, BHC is pretty ugly. That deal is bad deal. Yeah, it's sort of hard to buy Amgen up here without Maritide visibility. Pipeline needs a deep restocking. Although, they will get the Opdivo and Keytruda biosimilars. Will probably do really well on that. Yeah, pretty weak growth for Amgen. Hard to buy it for biosimilars. I don't know. Yeah, I think the problem with someone like Tist, you're assuming that the only explanation is that the drug's a miracle drug. If you've been around the biotech hoop, which is why there are people paying 150% short interest, they're not paying that because it's fun to pay 150% interest. It is not fun to pay 150% interest. The reason they're doing that is because they know that usually when this kind of thing happens, the company's enrolled people that are really healthy. Not every patient's the same. Not every patient has the same. Everybody dies at 6 months. That's not how the world works. There's people who live for 9. There's people who live for 12. There's people who live for 18. There's people who live for 24. And if the doctors have been enrolling really healthy people, the trial is going to skew closer to the longer number than the earlier number. That's just the way it is. To automatically assume, oh yeah, the drug's got to work, is very naive. Just be aware of that risk. Not saying it should invalidate your thesis, but just, be aware of it. Riches and niches. I like that. I'm going to head out to a meeting soon. Then I have another meeting. Then I have a dinner. Full day. I see quantum picking back up. Make sure you check out godelterminal.com. That's GODEL. godelterminal.com. Software I built for myself, but you can use it too. Great community of traders, lots of functions, and we'll build stuff. If you suggest it, we'll put it in the terminal just for you. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch you tomorrow. Go long Micron, short SLS.